Hey, Brixel! I'm here with my buddy Bloom, and welcome to Mistlock Monthly.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. Always good to be here.
It's good to, talk about Guild Wars. Despite time zones and despite my utter failings as a technician, we're here again. It's gonna be a good episode. So we've got a couple topics that we're gonna be talking about. And first and foremost is the fact that I feel like we Nostradamized what happened last week with the patch announcements.
Yeah, totally. They've kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. It's been an interesting time. They had some interesting things to say with the balance patch preview. I mean, they seem to have taken all feedback into account. They're kind of going back on the changes that people disagreed with, but most importantly, like, their communication has been super amazing. It's just been really cool to see them do the live stream for that patch preview. That was super exciting, super great to watch. It was a fun time.
Well, I think that was the really exciting thing for me, because we said in the last episode that we just wanted more guild chats. We don't need to have an expansion-sized excuse to have a guild chat. And literally the next week or two, they're like, "Oh, hey, here you go. Here's basically a guild chat," and it was so extensive.
Yes, yeah, it was a funny coincidence. I love that we talked about the guild chat in the last episode. I've always wanted ArenaNet to do more live streams like that, because I think they're a very down-to-earth company. They're very forward-facing, and they tend to just save the live streams and the publicity sort of stuff for expansion launches, which I think is a shame, because they had, I mean, as we saw with this live stream, they have a great camera presence. CMC and Roy had great chemistry on screen. I think this actually ran a lot better than previous guild chats, just because they were both kind of in the same field within ArenaNet. Before, we've had multiple members at the same time. There's been narrative people alongside balance people alongside design people, and it makes for not a very congruent live stream. But this one, they're both very focused on balance and design, and they were just bouncing off each other perfectly. They were very in the know in terms of current memes and the current design of the game. It was just really awesome to see.
I think that was a big thing for me, was that it may seem small, but the fact that they were memeing along with us, the fact that they would cut to CMC every time you took a drink, that was it's a meme. It's kind of a niche one. But here we are, as a community, being like, "Hey, they get us," And it's not just we had just anyone from the balance team. We had CMC and Roy. Those are our people, They're community members, and it's crazy that these community members are now on the other side of the wall. Kind of, it's we've got agents on the inside.
yeah. Even it was funny. Even Roy was wearing a shirt with a giant water bottle on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's funny. I don't think Roy has appeared before on a guild chat. Maybe he has, and I just don't recall. But I've never seen him before, and I thought he was brilliant. I thought he was a lot of fun to watch.
I'm 99% sure that was Roy's first appearance on camera as an ArenaNet representative.
He did an awesome job.
Yeah, no,
it was a great time.
Fantastic. It was just a fun time, and the things that they spoke about were really exciting.
100%. Should we talk about them? Should we talk about what?
I think so. I know there's one thing in particular you were very excited about.
Yes, Vindicator, double dodge Vindicator. Woo! We're back.
So
I love it.
I literally this morning went and I geared out my Vindicator. I'm not going to play him yet, but he's geared up and ready for the patch, because I'm hyped for double dodge Vindicator. It's going to completely change the class though.
Yeah. For viewers watching who aren't like super familiar with the balance patch coming up, because it is kind of like hidden. If you're not super in the loop, you're probably not watching the live streams and reading the patch notes, whatever. But there seems to be this general theme that with the patch coming on Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it's Wednesday for me. It's going to be a huge class balance patch that's kind of going over a lot of the trade-offs that some of the elite specs have, the subclasses, whatever you want to call them. They all have some kind of, not all of them, but some of them have some kind of trade-off associated with them. And so Vindicator, Revenant's new elite spec, they, with the recent expansion, got like a spec that basically only has one dodge roll, where, all classes usually have like two. And that dodge roll was like a damage attack. So it was very hard to be situational with that and use it for the actual dodge roll. But now they're splitting it up. They're giving us 2 dodge rolls back. And they're doing the same with a lot of other specs too. I mean, they're doing, you can probably talk a bit about the Soul Beast changes.
Oh yeah.
They're doing the same with like the Mesmer elite specs, Warrior. They're doing a lot of this like removal of trade-offs to make them feel a bit more fluid. So yeah, you can probably talk about Soul Beast.
Well, like,
you seem excited about that.
A big kind of like theme of the whole patch does seem to be like revisiting these trade-offs. Like, are they always necessary? And when it comes to Soul Beast, for example, not being able to swap pets as a Soul Beast is infuriating. It's so frustrating. And now not only am I going to be able to swap pets, I'm going to be able to swap pets while I'm in beast mode. Oh, sorry. Yes. Quick cough. So, just a quick explanation to people who don't quite know how the mechanic works. So, with a Soul Beast, you can have 2 pets, and you can swap between the 2 pets, and each pet has a different ability. And then the kind of the niche mechanic that Soul Beast has over Ranger in general is that you can merge with your pet and you can gain abilities that your pet has, which is really cool. But the trade-off for Soul Beast is that you can't swap your pet in combat, which kind of means that the whole idea of being able to swap your beast modes is essentially impossible, because you have to get out of you have to get out of combat, leave beast mode, swap your pet, wait for the beast mode cooldown to come off, swap back into beast mode, and that's a minimum of 20 seconds right there. And there's no way you can like situationally use that mechanic. So I'm so excited to be able to completely open up the spec, and I have so many ideas of pets that I've never even considered running before. And it's going to be so awesome.
Yeah, it gives you a lot more flexibility, doesn't it? Because now you're not so pigeonholed into the one build that you've built around, because you can now have the flexibility of having a second pet that has some unique utility. I know stuff like the new White Tiger pet that has Aegis on its skill and stuff like that. That's really cool.
That's awesome.
And now you can become you can be a lot more flexible that way. And we've seen. Yeah, go on.
It's just kind of been like there's been no point taking anything besides like a smoke scale, really. So I'm just really excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's how I felt as well. Like I felt like we were quite limited in terms of like the pet meta. There was a very small selection of pets that were actually used, but now with that flexibility, you can kind of run what you want in the second slot, just for some extra damage or utility. And we're seeing the same. Exactly, for flavor. For me, I like the Hawk, I think, like the Hawk pet in Soul Beast, the one that gives you like all that movement. It gives you like swiftness, and it has like a dash. I love that utility. And at the moment, if I was to play Soul Beast, it'd be a significant DPS loss to run it over something else. So yeah, that's good to see. And then we've got similar changes for Mesmer and Warrior.
I'm excited for the Warrior changes. I'm not quite sure what's happening with Mesmer. What's going down with Mesmer?
Mesmer, from what I understand it, I don't play much Mesmer either, but I think core Mesmer has a skill called Distortion, which sort of acts as a free invuln window or a free sort of iframe window that you can use. And the elite specs kind of, I think all 3 elite specs from memory, maybe I'm wrong, kind of remove that to replace it with their own unique spec skill. But with the changes, they're basically giving you that distortion back. So you're going to have an extra button, and no matter what spec you're running, you're going to have that extra invuln iframe window, which is going to help a lot with survivability, with flexibility. So that's really cool. That's really awesome to see. It basically, I think it makes elite specs seem more like a direct upgrade from the core spec rather than like a side grade, you know?
I have always felt like it's like you have your core class, and then it's like, what do you take from Ranger to Druid, for example? It's like, it's not the same class. It doesn't feel like that. So it does feel like some of these changes are reining in some of the punishment to make it feel like, oh yeah, it's still that class. It's just a little different. It's just a little different.
Yeah. Especially like with Ranger, that's a good example because they're making changes to the Druid spec and eliminating some of the trade-offs from that. Because if you spec'd into Druid, you'd have traits that would basically make your pet way less effective, which just, I think, felt a little weird playing as a Ranger and having your pet not do a lot of damage, especially if you're playing Druid where you're not doing much damage yourself. So it's good to see that sort of trade-off removed and minimized so that now, you know, it feels like a direct upgrade from Ranger. You know, your pet does just as much damage, but now you're focused on healing.
And I think it'll be cool because I think that Druid will become a really, really fun open world build now.
Yeah, totally.
So I'm just really excited about the possibilities that are coming in with this patch. I'm also really excited for the warrior defense trait changes. I feel like at the moment there's only one tank in the entire game, so I'm really
specifically what were the defense changes? I kind of forgot.
Well, I can't remember off the top of my head, but basically shields are useful now.
Right. Okay. Nice.
And like I felt for the longest time like the only tanks I see are guardians. So I kind of I kind of like to see some warrior tanks again.
Right.
But then of course there was the controversial change that everyone was up in arms in, which was the Scrapper gyros, which was a shame because I was planning on making a Scrapper, and then the announcements came and it's like, ooh, I don't know if I want to make a Scrapper anymore. But
yeah, right.
But they rolled back the changes. They listened to the community.
Yeah. Yeah. So should we outline? I'll just go ahead and outline what the changes were for like people not familiar. So Scrapper, their unique mechanic or their unique like utility type were called gyros. And then you would slot them in your like utility skills. And what they were was essentially what they are now at the moment anyway. Buttons, you press it and you spawn a little robot helicopter that like moves with you. So it's like connected to you, and it'll pulse a well around you and give some sort of buff effect, you know, yada yada. The effect will happen around you and it'll follow you as you move around. And the proposed changes to combat how absolutely busted this is in competitive modes was to basically disconnect that and make them separate so that you would place the AoE of your gyros from range now. It wouldn't follow you. It would just be static on the floor in a similar way that the kind of usual wells work in Guild Wars 2. Things like the, you know, necromancer wells and that sort of thing, where you just place them at range as an AoE. And people weren't happy with that because, I mean, despite how I was kind of indifferent to those changes in terms of like from a PvE perspective, it would mean that Scrapper provides is is a good build for providing quickness, the quickness boon, and this change would make it so that you could provide it from range. You don't have to sort of be in amongst your group to provide that quickness. You'd be able to do it from range, which would be very handy. But at the same time, I understand a lot of the arguments that this made Scrapper feel a little more homogenized, a little like more boring, because their whole identity is having this moving well as you're running around. So I understand that side of it, and I'm glad they reverted it, because I really enjoy Scrapper. It's one of my favorite specs, actually. I don't play it a lot, but I think it's a really fun design, and especially with those wells moving with you, it was super interesting because they have their own like combo fields, and you could like use leap. Like there's a hammer skill, which is a leap finisher, and if you have a well following you and you're using the leap finisher and it hits like 3 times, it like pulses whatever that combo is multiple times as you move. It's so cool, and you can use it in multiple ways. There's like if you use it with the lightning field gyro, you'll do like extra CC as you're using the leap skill. Or if you combine it with like the healing gyro, you'll do extra like heals. It's really cool. It's a cool interaction. Same with like real quick, like the elite skill was like a huge that one had a huge impact on especially world versus world and PvP. It's like a stealth gyro, and it would move with you. And so a very common strategy in world versus world is that entire teams would basically huddle around and move with the Scrapper, because they just like cloak everyone as they move. And on top of that, you had a leap skill that would like blast the smoke field to give you guys even more stealth. It was just like crazy. So I think they're just like instead reducing the duration on that. They're removing the smoke field, and they're increasing the cooldown to compensate for all that, instead of doing the whole disconnecting of the gyros. So good change.
The one consolation, I could be wrong, but I think I'm right, is that the defense gyro, it is going to be stationary.
Yeah, so that was that was like an extra skill. Like engineers get extra skills based on their utilities above their like action bar, and one of them was that defense gyro, which was essentially like a bubble shield, and that would move with you as well. Which, as you can imagine, in PvP in World versus World, you're trying to hit like a group of people, and they just bring up a bubble shield and they start moving with the bubble shield, and you can't, get in or out. So they're changing that, making that static, which makes sense.
I think that's a good consolation. I do. And then totally. I think the last big change for me that I do agree with is that heralds give a little bit too much quickness in World versus World, so they're bringing that back a bit. So their elite ability is just going to give might now instead of quickness, which I think is pretty cool. Did they say they removed all? I'm pretty sure they removed all quickness, didn't they? I thought in World versus World all quickness, or is it? It's just on the elite ability.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Okay,
so they've just swapped it from quickness to might, which is dope. So I think that it was a little too easy to have infinite quickness uptime. So I think that's a fair compromise.
Cool.
Yeah. So Scrapper, the October patch. One big thing that I
Speaking of Scrapper,
sorry,
and targeting. Speaking of Scrapper and targeting, right? Is that what we're going into, or are you going into a different segue?
I'm just so impressed by how you segued that, because I was like, I know I've no idea how I'm going to do this, and you're just yes. Yeah. So the last 3-ish months, I have been on a quest to find out how I prefer to play the game. I have played the game exclusively with Action Cam for the last 3 months. On the recommendation of Mr. Bloom here, and I gotta tell you, it is fantastic. It is such an awesome way to play the game. But after 3 months, I have decided I'm going back to playing the game with tab targeting.
Yes.
So there's a couple reasons why, but I think first and foremost is I don't think enough people really respect how good it is as an option, and how viable it is, actually.
Yeah. I mean, to link it to the Scrapper conversation, the reason I really like Action Cam, so for those who don't know, it's like an option in your control settings that lets you toggle between the normal tab target combat and a sort of actiony style of combat where you've got like a crosshair in the middle of your screen. You don't have to directly aim it at things to be able to hit them. It's more just like so that your camera is connected to the mouse and, you know, things are placed where you aim it. But there's still sort of some, you know, automatic tracking with the ranged projectiles and stuff like that. But yes, I use Action Cam a lot with a lot of specs that require you to place AoEs. There's a lot of arguments to be made that it really sucks for AoEs because it means you can't place them like behind you or like to the side of you without looking in that direction. But because I'm a huge, you know, I'm a huge shooter fan and that sort of thing, I'm very used to the idea of like aiming towards allies and enemies to like put a thing on them. So I really enjoy it for any kind of spec that has a lot of AoE targeting. So, I mean, Scrapper was going to with the ranged update, but that won't happen anymore. But things like Spectre, we've got a lot of wells that you've got to place. I'm playing, I don't know, just, I guess, yeah, any spec that has some ranged AoEs you need to place. I really enjoyed Action Cam 4 because it just lets you, I don't know, just have that sort of Twitch shooter feel. But as I'm sure you're going to explain, it's not that effective at all in like PvP situations due to like map design and just reactiveness. It's great in PvE, but in PvP you're going to struggle a bit.
Well, yeah. So like I really enjoyed it for, as you say, that snap reaction, like Twitch shooter vibe. Like it is fun to kind of have that first person shooter feel to the game. And the thing that really got me to use Action Cam for the first time properly was I saw a GIF on Reddit of this guy who had zoomed in really close on their rifle engineer, and they're in this corridor and it looked like Dead Space. And I was like, yes, this looks awesome. And it really kind of does feel like Dead Space sometimes if you got a cool, or it does feel like a third-person shooter if you've got your camera set up right and all that. It's really, really cool. It's a really immersive way to play the game. It's really relaxing. I find it a more enjoyable way to go through story story content. But as you said, I've been playing a lot of PvP recently, and I've really, really struggled to place my AoEs properly when I'm playing with Action Cam. And there are actually some people in my Twitch shower who are memeing on me. They're like, "Oh wow, Action Cam PvP, that's new." Yeah. So, I even felt a little self-conscious on stream. I was like, damn, shit. I then kind of decided a week ago, okay, well, it's been a couple months, let me try go back to tab targeting. And it was weird. It felt so strange to go back to tab targeting. I kind of forgot how to play the game for a while, but man, my ability to place AoEs wherever I want is something I really took for granted back in the day. But wow, I think the biggest issue is for me. There's a map in the 3v3 rank PvP called Oryx Stand, I believe. I can't remember the name. I think it's called Oryx Stand, where it's essentially a bridge in between the two spawn points. And my strat with my ranger would be to with my soul beast would be to kind of stand back and then drop a barrage onto the bridge thing. However, if you're below something, it's so hard to aim on top of something. It's almost impossible.
It's impossible. If you can't see it, you can't aim it there. That's just like how action
it's like you can see it, but like you can see like such a small amount of it just because of the way like perspective works. Like and I screwed up so many shots because of it. And I actually think I've gotten better at PvP since I turned it off. And I I even had my raid night on Wednesday, and I think I did a lot better in my raids than I did. So
yeah,
I'm personally happy I tried it, but I'm also really happy that I swapped back. I definitely feel like I'm gonna use it for story content, but I think primarily I'm gonna stick with tab targeting.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta emphasize that it's like in no way better than tab targeting. I think it's literally just like, it's like a side grade, but also slightly worse. It really is more for like just enhancing your experience. If you want Guild Wars 2 to feel like, just to feel a bit more reactive and third person-y, then it's nice. A good option. But yeah, exactly. It feels nicer to play, but there are a lot of shortcomings, as you said, with like uneven terrain, and also in PvE as well. You have these issues where like a boss's targeting box or whatever is way up in the sky, and so some skills just will give you the error that there's no path to target, and you try to press them and it's just not working because where you're aiming is not actually where the boss's hitbox is, and it just doesn't go off. So there's some issues, and I think like
aim at your feet.
Yes, aiming at your feet is also an issue. A lot of classes I play, the AoEs you're trying to place, you want to place them like right under you and your team, and so you'll see in my gameplay a lot of the time I'm just like rapidly zooming in and out, because the closer you zoom in, the more the action cam targeting is like dead center, so I'm just zooming in and out the whole time. So yeah, there's definitely shortcomings. I think I could play just as well or better without it, but for me it totally like revitalized my Guild Wars 2 experience. I took a huge break from the game because I was bored of tab targeting, but then when I came back and found out it was a thing, I tried action cam, and it totally changed the game for me. I got hooked all over again because it just totally changes the feel of the game. Yeah,
it's definitely something I'm not unbinding, that's for sure.
Yeah,
like totally. I really wish that they kind of showed it's really hidden. It's a really hidden option.
It is. I actually think
it's a shame.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, I actually think it should be an option at the start of the game at character creation. There's like, they give you two options. They're like, do you want to play classic or action cam? And you just have that option from the get go, so that new players can like just
and then they specify there like action cameras for a more relaxed solo experience, while the tab targeting is for your more hardcore gameplay, and this is what we recommend for each. And I would appreciate that in this instance they would specify like this is what each is used for, because I think that a lot of people who do use action cam do still swap in and out.
Yes, I do 100%. Like I've got it. I mean, down to like
especially when you like are going through loot and stuff like that. It's almost impossible to. Yeah. But it's not better, but I do think it's more enjoyable. However, there are instances where doing better DPS is also enjoyable.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, not dying in PvP, highly rate it. It's good. It's a good time. You're not going to have a good time if you keep getting absolutely slapped when you're trying to use action.
It's a good strat, not dying.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking, I know that this isn't on the run sheet, but discussing like, because we're talking about PvP and stuff, how do you feel about their really cool focus on updating PvP in World vs. World recently? Like they've got a lot of updates in the pipeline. This balance patch is dedicated to it, and I've always felt PvP in Guild Wars 2 has been like an awesome mode or like PvP and World vs. World are really well made, solid modes. They're definitely very unique in the MMORPG landscape. They get a lot more. I don't think they get more love than in other MMOs, but I think they're better designed. They're way more watertight. And right now, I mean, they've kind of neglected PvP in World vs. World for a long time, but recently it seems like they're changing that. And you've been playing a lot of competitive PvP, so yeah, how do you feel about that?
Well, like. It's funny. I saw this meme. Like it's that meme that's going around of that that kid who's really into the corn. I don't know if you've seen that. It's on TikTok and everything. It's like,
it's corn.
So at the very end of the original video, the guy who's interviewing the kid then goes up to this little girl, and he's like, "So, do you like corn?" And the little girl's like, "No." And she's like, "Well, have you ever tried it?" And she's like, "No." And that's kind of how I feel the Guild Wars 2 community is with PvP. It's like, do you like Guild Wars 2 PvP? No. Well, have you ever tried it? No. And it's like, so many people actually haven't tried it, and it's damn good. It's so well designed. The maps are so good. The game modes are so fun. I'm absolutely obsessed with 3v3 ranked. It is the best time. I spent about a week trying to get the 3v3 contender title. It was a blast.
Yeah.
I absolutely love PvP, but I didn't touch it for so long because people kind of make it sound like PvP sucks. But it's on par with, if not, like, it's just as good as PvE, honestly. It's just as well made.
Yeah. I mean, this is something we'll talk about later, but I think Guild Wars 2's combat in general, it was designed sort of from the get-go to facilitate like player-on-player combat. Based on you don't have a huge skill set, and you've got a lot of kind of tools to work around dealing with CC and conditions and that sort of thing. Very positional too. So I've always found PvE is at its best when you're versing enemies that feel like they're moving around like players, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, I mean, in the PvP world versus world setting, that's where the combat kind of thrives, because it's really unpredictable. You don't know if players are going to stun you or bomb you with conditions, and you have to know how to deal with that. You have to know how to adapt to that on the fly. I think it's really well made, and like I've draw the comparison all the time to like MOBAs, because it really does feel like something like League of Legends or Smite. It has that really addictive quality where matches are short enough that you can like iterate every time you load back in. I've got friends that are massive fans of Smite, and I'm like, oh my god, and they also love MMORPGs. I'm like, just get into Guild Wars 2 and try the PvP, because you're going to find that it feels really similar. You've got like you've got 27, I would say, like characters, and you just have to learn, what their skill sets are. But then a lot of it's about like just building your character to counter whatever you might be having challenges with. So if you're getting CC'd a lot, or you're getting a lot of conditions bombed on you, then you need to like work out how you want to counter that in the next match. Do you run more stun breaks and condition cleanse and stuff? And it's funny you mentioned like nobody's tried it, and like you told me the reason you tried PvP was because there was like a tiny little 10-second bit in my video where I was like, to get good gear, to get some exotic stat selectable gear, you can do ranked PvP. And you were like, oh, I'll try that. Yeah, and you got you hooked.
I was like, yeah, well, I need what was it? I needed a Diviner's chest
Warlord
piece, and I wasn't gonna go fork out gold for Diviner's gear, and I wasn't gonna go crafted. So I was like, okay, well, let me go and get the Warlord chest piece. And well, my first realization was, oh, you can't just sign up for ranked. You have to like get to level 20 to start ranked. And I thought, okay, well, let me just stream my absolutely scuffed PvP. And my god, I got so hooked. Like, for the last month, I've almost exclusively played PvP. And I've been a diehard PvE player since I started playing World of Warcraft in, like, 2007. So, like, I've never liked PvP, and I really like your point earlier about it feeling like a MOBA, because back when I was a big a big World of Warcraft kid, I always just wished, why wasn't there a Defense of the Ancient style map where there's lanes and yes, they're not necessarily lanes. Well, actually, there are some maps that are very lane based.
It does feel like lanes, because it is this like King of the Hill style thing where, well, you're doing 3v3 right now. Like the ranked season, I think, changes mode, but it's even the map design is very kind of you have very specific choke points and stuff. You know?
And the thing is, like, even though it's not like a classic MOBA map like Smite or League of Legends or Dota or whatever, where it's you got bot, middle, and top lane, and you've got your like 5B. Like, we all know how a MOBA works. This isn't the same mechanics, but it feels very MOBA. It feels a lot like my crippling addiction to League of Legends, and I kind of like it.
Yeah, it's really addictive, and like, I mean, I don't play a lot of PvP these days, but I think I usually place around gold 2, gold 3 if I do ranked. Because I got really hooked into PvP when I first started playing Guild Wars 2. I was looking for a way to get an ascended back piece. And the ascended back piece that you get from PvP that works towards the legendary, I forgot what it's called, the Wings of Ascension or whatever.
That's what they're called.
Oh no, it is called Ascension. Yeah. It's a very straightforward path to getting that ascended back piece. You essentially just do ranked matches and you get tickets. And with the tickets, you just buy like a small back piece. And when you get more tickets, you can buy the next one. And it's like a fancier back piece. It gets fancier and fancier. Then you combine them all. And it creates a legendary. And I wanted to go for at least just the ascended version, which just required you to buy all the back pieces. But that was a super interesting time. I was super hooked on PvP. You just do match after match after match. It's super fun, especially when you're first getting into it and trying to like learn the ropes of how your class functions in PvP and how to deal with other classes. Like, it's so interesting because it makes you think about the game. Yes, it 100% can. Yeah, it is just an interesting way to, experience the game.
Because like when you're in PvE in the beginning, like as a noob, all you really need to know is what your buttons do. At the very most, your raid leader will cover the more advanced things. So like, okay, let's go get a ranger for some roots or whatever, which is not something the little noob in the party needs to know about. But
correct.
Oh my god, I completely forgot my train of thought.
I know what you're gonna say. Like it forces you to learn more than just your class. You've got to learn other classes.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much. So in PvE, like it's late here, guys. It's 2 a.m.
Yes. Yeah.
But like, so in PvE, like, all you need to do really is focus on your class. But then as soon as I started playing PvP, I was like, wow, I really have to know what every, and not just what every class, but what every spec does. Because like a Willbender is not a firebrand.
No, yeah.
So
not even close. And it's go on.
No?
Oh yeah, I mean, I was just going to say that like the roles in PvP are so much more diverse, I think, than PvE. Like in PvE, you've just got, here's your DPS like role, and so many specs fall into like this DPS role, and your only job is to do high DPS. But in PvP, as you were saying, like a firebrand DPS and a Willbender DPS are like such different roles in terms in like the PvP aspect. And I think that's so interesting. And it probably makes you want to try out other classes more than PvE does, because you'll just be, I don't know, you just get absolutely nuked by some class and you'll be like, what the hell is that? And then you go and create that class and you find out you really enjoy it. And I mean, that was a big avenue for me, and why I started making a lot of alts was because someone would be playing something in PvP and I'm like, how the hell did they do that? Like what combo was that? And then you just end up like trying to learn it.
That's why I've been leveling a Mesmer on stream, because Mesmers would just show me my ass so often. Like,
I still actually struggle with Mesmers.
Like I will never ever notice that I have confusion on me. Never.
Yep. Yes.
And then I'm dead and they're alive, and how did that happen? And I know I'm an idiot. But do you know how often I will attack the damn clones?
Yes, me too. I don't like, I know that the clones take like way less damage to kill, but I still get really confused. if someone has an easy way to like call out which one the real one is, but in the heat of the moment, I get really disoriented, and I'm just like, well, which one is it? And then I'll kill him, and he'll be on the floor, and I'll go to stomp him, but it's not the real one, and I'm like, far out, I hate this, and I'm just like AoEs. Yeah. Yeah.
When you're like, when you thought you got them down, they're on the dang floor, but no.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God.
If someone has a super easy way to like identify that and deal with that, please let us know in the comments.
Well, the people in my chat were saying, the one that's dodging is the real one. I was like, okay, cool.
What if he's smart? What if he's not dodging? What if he's being a big brain, galaxy brain, and he's just he's pretending to be an NPC? I don't know what to do then.
At least with like most raid bosses where you're supposed to figure out which is the real one, they'll have like a different weapon or something.
Yes.
But no, it's so confusing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But the other thing, now. Nice. Awesome. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I was going to say the other thing I love about PvP is that it makes so many of your utilities super useful. Like you use utilities for their utility. You don't use them as like just a buff button. Or like in PvE where you're giving like quickness and alacrity, like you're using your utility because it's a stun break or a cleanse or like or some movement skill. Every utility feels like it has not every utility, but it definitely feels like a broader range and more flexibility in how you want to play PvP. Even in like weapon options and that sort of thing. It's just like it's really diverse. So yeah,
there's a ranger ability that's a backwards roll and a Condi cleanse.
Yep.
I would never use that ability in PvE. It is my lifesaver. Like, I have that button on the speed dial. Like, goddamn. Yep. And it's so you're completely right. Like the build diversity is just so out there in PvP because you're using buttons you wouldn't normally use.
Totally. And things like warrior using shield and that sort of thing, that's super relevant in PvP because people are attacking you all the time. You can like that block, that long channeled block is super handy. Whereas in PvE, it's like you have dodge rolls and nothing's gonna keep wailing on you really. They're gonna use like one attack. So you can just use the dodge roll instead of the shield. So in PvP, I just love having that like defensive sort of play style. There's a lot of focus on sustain. You know, you're not always going to have a healer to heal you. You're going to have to figure out how to do that yourself. So,
yeah. So I'm going back to your original point. I'm really, really excited about the space that PvP's in. I think there's also a big community push to not just make PvP relevant, but kind of change the mindset of PvP players. Because, I mean, every single competitive game mode in every game is going to have toxicity. But if we can snuff it out, if we can be aware of it as a community, and just actively say, good luck, have fun at the beginning of every match, or GG, well played if you lost. Do you know how much difference that it's going to make for our community? If just those two words. So, I think that like there's such a massive push from ArenaNet to fix PvP. I'm gonna say it, fix PvP, but it's not just on them. I think that we gotta do something about it too as a community. We need to be a little bit more wholesome. Gotta be a little bit more chilled, guys. A loss is just a loss. Laugh it off and queue up again.
I was doing ranked the other day, and man, like some of you need to chill out. Jesus. Like, there are some brutal people. Yeah, very mean. And they're like, we're playing a video game. Please, I just want to do my ranked. It's part of my dailies. I'm sorry. I just want to try it. So you need to chill out. But I mean, again, I hope ArenaNet keeps supporting it in the future. I hope we get some more maps. I think that always, incentivizes people to play. I hope we get more modes. Like I love the elimination game mode, but it is on a limited cycle. Like it's ranked. I think I told you the other day, ranked isn't always 3v3. It's going to like turn into conquest, which is just the normal unranked mode, which is a shame because I'd love to play just tons of elimination. And I think I've seen people suggest having like a mode where you can just like something like ARAM in League, where it's just this balls to the wall, just focus on team fights sort of thing, where it's no objective. You can just go in there and try to learn your class, learn what the other classes do, and just slam against each other. That's I hope they keep supporting it.
I mean, if 343 could give us a Slayer playlist,
yeah,
I'm just saying that's a low bar. That's a low
exactly.
bar.
You can give us Slayer, can't you, ArenaNet?
If 343 can do it, you could, but just don't bring the battle pass with it.
There's a lot of fun things I can think of. I would love like a free for all mode in Guild Wars 2 PvP where it's just like you're on a map, you spawn somewhere, and it's just free for all, and you just gotta like that'd be heaps fun. I want some crazier modes, you know?
Okay, I know a lot of people are gonna roll their eyes at this. World versus World Battle Royale. Drop 100 players on the World versus World map.
Yeah,
dude, that would be fun. I'm not.
That would be fun. I actually unironically would love that.
Like a circle and Alice, like all of that. That would be so much fun. I would love.
Actually, you can totally do the circle thing. You know how in raid mechanics they have like the big doom circle and you've got to get to like a certain thing. Just have that, just map wide, this giant circle that's getting smaller. That'd be heaps of fun. I've always thought about capture the flag as well. Would be so fun in Guild Wars 2.
And it works so well in WoW. It's my favorite PvP game mode in WoW. It'd be fantastic. There's so much they could do. It wouldn't be that hard. The maps they have are already fantastic. They can just add more game modes to them. Like, they're really fantastic, but I think like I personally really hate Stronghold. I really don't like it.
Same.
Let's take those maps and put flags in them.
Yes,
it's that easy. It's the same maps, and it would be dope.
Totally,
it would be so fun.
Yeah, I think that is a big part of like this toxicity is that like really the only way for newbies to practice is in a mode that is so highly competitive and so highly team based. Like the conquest style thing is just really intense, and I think we just need just a couple more like chill out modes where people are in there literally just to have fun. There's no extra objective. It's just people trying to learn their class and just trying to like get kills basically, so they can just learn how to sustain themselves, how to counter other classes. I think that would be really awesome to see. So I hope we see ArenaNet supporting PvP and World vs. World, you know, further into the future.
Hopefully, because and how's this for a segue? They've been really good at supporting old content, which they're bringing back in the form of Living World Season 1. How was that? How was that for a segue? So
yeah, that was great. It was perfect. Love it.
Last time we spoke, you said that you hadn't been playing Season 1. Since the release of Tower of Nightmares, I did notice that there was a video on your channel discussing Tower of Nightmares, which means you must be caught up. So what do you think?
Yes.
What do you think of Living World Season 1 so far?
Yeah. So on balance, in general, I feel like the Living World Season 1 release, like I just want to preface by saying, I don't think it's for me. It's not for the kind of player I am. You know, the rewards aren't, we'll talk about it in a second, the rewards aren't super crazy. But I think it's great that it's in the game. It really needed to be there. I joined the game when Season 1 wasn't around, so I just went from like vanilla to Season 2, and it was super confusing, and I had no idea what was going on. So I'm glad they're doing it. In terms of, you know, I think it holds up well enough, the writing and that sort of thing. It really links to End of Dragons, like a lot of the things you experience in Season 1 link up to End of Dragons. So important.
Like, I really appreciated the scene, the epilogue scene for End of Dragons so much more now that we had this scene with Logan and Jory and Kaz in the Dead End Bar.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
it made so much more sense, and it made them having that in that bar so much more special.
Yeah, and they keep kind of like going there in season 1. And I remember finishing End of Dragons and going into that scene, and I was like, I think I'm supposed to feel nostalgic or something about this place. Like, this feels like a significant place, but I've never been here before. Where are we? So super cool to see that in the game. So I'm glad it's back. I will say, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it now. I guess the rewards aren't crazy. I really decided to catch up so that I would be up to date for. I wanted to try out the Tower of Nightmares as soon as it came out, because I'd never heard of it before, never even seen it. I wanted to try this new instant content, but also I want to be up to date for the strike that releases in the next episode. So you do get rewarded with like 20 slot bags for the end of each season 1 episode, which I think is excellent for new players. But that's really good. I mean, that's a lot of value.
Only with one character, which is a bit disappointing.
Right. Okay, fair enough.
I was like, I actually decided to go and grind out some 20 slot bags with another character, and I was like, hang on, wait, I can only get one? Damn. But that kind of makes sense. But yeah, sorry, you were saying.
I mean, there's also really cool weapon skins in those episodes. I actually think each of the weapon skins that have come out with each episode that you can get, you'll need to like look into it. There's a video on my channel. Watch the Tower of Nightmares video, and you'll see the weapons I'm talking about, because they're a little hidden. You need to use a very specific recipe to craft them in the Mystic Forge, but they look cool. Really, really nice looking skins. So overall, it is really geared towards new players, but I'm glad it's in the game. Tower of Nightmares specifically, I want to talk about that for a second, because I started up that episode, and first of all, I was really impressed by the fact that the like tower was actually there in Kessex Hills. I was like, has it always been there, or did they just do it for this episode? And no, they've got this new instancing technology now where if you're on the episode, the tower is there in the middle of the map. If you're not, it's just not there. Very cool.
It's been destroyed if it's not there.
Yeah,
so you can
it's been destroyed.
It's rubble.
Yeah, and they've really smartly like aligned the geometry and stuff. But I started the episode and I killed my first enemy, and he doesn't fully die. He like gets on the floor, and I have to stomp him like you have to stomp PvP enemies. Now I don't know if this was a thing before, like when this came out, or if this is a new edition. I've been told that this has like been there since before the original release, but I love this. I mean, as I was saying before, PvE feels at its best when it feels like you're versing players, and I think the enemies, the fights in this episode, the recent episode with the Tower of Nightmares, was some of the most fun PvE combat I've ever done in Guild Wars 2, because having to stomp enemies creates a totally different dynamic. So like it means that it is like when you kill something, you see one of their allies running up to res them, and you're like, oh god. So you have to like do some CC. You've got to like stun them, knock them back. Any sort of skills that do an instant stomp are super relevant now. I love that. And then in the Tower of Nightmares,
that actually, ArenaNet, can we have more
I agree
in PvE, like for real, like lay it on thick. I won't lie.
Yeah,
that would be fun. If they could work in Defiance breaking into stomping as well, so your CC abilities work on the stomp, like will do more damage on the stomp bar. I think that would be dope.
Yeah. Well, the CC is already relevant when they go down, because allies will start rezzing them. And like in PvP, if an ally starts rezzing someone, you've got to somehow just like stop them from doing that by using some sort of CC. So I think that's super interesting. And if this was something they moved away from because players were having trouble navigating it early in the game's life cycle, fine. But now we're in this world of like intense power creep, and I think just having this sort of thing shakes up the game in a really fun way. And the Tower of Nightmares expands on this so much more, where like every second enemy has this mechanic where you've got to stomp them, and there's so much conditions going all over you. For context, I'm like going straight into this, but Tower of Nightmares is this new activity that the recent episode released. It's basically like a boss rush / gauntlet / basically tower climb thing. Yeah, sort of a roguelike style thing where you work up the floors and you just have to get to the top, and every floor has a different boss at the end. But like, just the combat in there is really fun. There's so much conditions going on. CC, the stomping. Really fun. I thought this was one of the most fun activities in Guild Wars 2, actually. I thought I loved this way more than Dragonstorm, Twisted Marionette, similar, 50-man squad activities. Even like meta events. I think this is way more engaging. So it is a shame that it doesn't give you great rewards. Like doing all this, it takes, 15 minutes to half an hour to get through it. And at the end, don't get a whole lot. You get like a lot of junk.
So it's about 12 hours later.
Little time skip,
Little time skip. So we've got something called load shedding in South Africa, where they'll just turn off our power for a few hours a day. And they changed our schedule, and I didn't check the new updated schedule, so I didn't know that we were going to get a power outage in the middle of our recording, which is super fun. But here we are back. Bloom's had a whole day. I've had a whole sleep.
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, as I was saying 12 hours ago before we were rudely interrupted. I was really hoping. It's so weird to continue a conversation 12 hours later.
It's so funny. Like, I've literally had an entire day where I've like gone on errands, and it's just been an absolutely stacked day. So for viewers, it's like 2 seconds above. Great.
Yeah. So I was really hoping that it would be like that the Tower of Nightmares would be kind of like a replacement, or not a replacement, but another daily instance thing like Dragonstorm or the Twisted Marionette that we could do. But as you said now, and also really well in your video, which you guys should go check out, this is not really many rewards. There's no reason to do it every day. I can't think of a reason. It's fun. It's after doing a million Dragonstorms, hell yeah, I do think it's more fun than Dragonstorm, but there's no real reason to do it.
Yes, I agree. It's a shame. I was really hoping this would change up my loop as it is at the moment. I kind of do my daily Dragonstorm because that's like quick and easy enough for a little bit of gold. I don't really do Twisted Marionette for the same reasons that I don't do the Tower of Nightmares. It's just like too much investment for too little reward. And I understand that not everything they add has to be super profitable, and they can't kind of keep adding these gold farms to the game. Otherwise, we're going to get to the point where we just have so many different options, and we just, it'd just be a huge checklist of activities to do. So I understand that side of it. But I feel like they could do something with weekly rewards now. Like, for example, strikes and raids really nicely fit into my schedule. I always just find 1 or 2 days throughout the week where I can just knock off the strikes, try do some raids where I can, and those weekly rewards are enough, So I would have liked to have seen some really cool weekly rewards for the Tower of Nightmares. Just some big completion bonus to do it, once a week. Because I think it's a really fun activity and it's really refreshing, especially off the back of like Dragonstorm and whatnot. So just a weekly reward would be nice.
I mean, it doesn't even have to give you gold. Like, there are so many things in the game that we could work towards that it could give you, I don't know, like magnetite shards. Obviously not magnetite shards, but it's the first thing that came to my head. Like, they could give you that, or they could give, I don't know, there could be a reward track like there is in PvP, where like if you do it every week, you can slowly gain something. I don't know. So there's potential for them to make that replayable content, and it could be really cool if they leaned into it and they kind of made it more of like a roguelike heaven on high type of content, where you could maybe use it for leveling.
Totally. I agree.
there's
I mean,
there's so many ways they could, like, from a narrative perspective, potentially get us to do it every week, you know?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for this kind of content in Guild Wars 2. We don't really have sort of boss rush style mode like this, sort of like a wave based mode, where they could like randomize encounters. Like, I love that the bosses of each floor are completely randomized, and I think it'd be really cool if they just kept building on top of this, whatever lore reason they need to give. Like, you know, as I explained to you like before, I thought the lore reason that we would be doing this over and over is that we've got to like inject the heart with the antitoxin every time. And that would be a great lore, you know, maybe Scarlet's gone or whatever, but the tower still operates on its own and it's still corrupting, you know, everything around it, and you just keep running it to keep injecting it with the antitoxin.
Just to keep it like maintained.
Yes, yeah, to keep it maybe like within the tower or something. Whatever reason they can come up with. I just think it'd be really cool to have a mode like this where there are randomized enemies and bosses at the end, and you can just, you know, run it once a week for a bit of fun. I really enjoyed it. Maybe something like, I don't know if you played much of Shadowlands, but Torghast in WoW. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but a bit more fun than that. Only because I think, you know, we don't need like randomized abilities and bonuses and whatnot. I just want randomized bosses just to make it, you know, interesting.
Yeah, the problem with Torghast is that they kind of they forced you to do it. Like, you had to do Torghast. Yeah. No one. Like, I was so hyped when they announced it. I was like, yes, I'm a massive Binding of Isaac fan. I have 500 hours in the Binding of Isaac. I absolutely love that game. And I was like, yes, bring me that in my, like, at the time, my favorite game. And no, it's not quite what they did. I think, like, even like Heaven on High is not fantastic, but it's a hell of a lot better than that. And I just with the level of movement-based abilities and the unique situations that the devs can throw you in that all of these other MMOs don't really have the opportunity to do. I think the only other MMO that really can have fights as creative as Guild Wars 2 is Destiny 2.
Yes, for sure.
So, like, they could do so many fun things with that and just, like, let us climb a tower forever.
Yeah. You know, I just came up with a really wild idea that might be awful, but give it a black lion key once a week that you can claim, and then remove the black lion key from the level 10 reward or whatever. The farm that people are doing where they create alts and then level it up to get the free lion key. Delete that, make it come from the Tower of Nightmares.
And you can
and
have
then everyone gets involved.
And you have one account a week, you can get it. Like,
yes. One per account per week, just from Tower of Nightmares.
Yes. That would be
because I was trying to think of something. Yeah, I was trying to think of something that would be relevant to like veteran players, but also new players. You know, new players would really like that because from keys you can get the statuettes that you can use on like transmutation stones, which are also kind of a little weird and tricky to get for new players. Yeah, that'd be really cool. Even if you could just get transmutation stones or something from it, just honestly, something that's relevant to all people.
Stones, you know? There aren't enough ways in the game to get transmutation stones. Not nearly.
Yes.
Not nearly.
Especially in PvE, you know, like in PvP in World vs. World, you just sort of passively rack it up. But in PvE, there's actually no way to like passively get it. The only way you can get it is from, you know, map completion. Yeah, which is very intentional and direct, and like you're not passively doing that. You know, you can't passively get them from raids or strikes.
And the thing I don't understand is it wasn't always like that. I think that it used to have a really simple, really elegant transmutation system where you could just swap it out, as far as I remember. And then they brought in the stones, or they changed how they got the stones. Or I remember back in the day, it was super easy to just change up what you were wearing. And it's just not like that anymore.
From memory, I thought it was harder, and they did a whole revamp where they introduced transmutation stones because it was just so convoluted before. Well, I don't know. I remember it being a whole system.
I think it was a harder system. I think it was that you had to have both physical pieces of gear to do it.
Right.
But I think the reason I preferred it was that there was no transmutation stones. You could there wasn't a resource that you weren't capped. I find it to be such a strange thing to limit us on. It's a very bizarre thing to be like, no, you have like there's a finite resource of transmutation stones. That's something that it's Fashion Wars. Just let us just wear whatever we want, you know?
Well, yeah, I think there's just like a weird discrepancy between like how much you get in PvP and World versus World versus PvE. It's like just very weird that you get heaps of them out of the competitive modes, but if you want to do open world PvE or something, it's like so hard. I don't know why. It's really needless. So yeah, adding that sort of thing to these sorts of activities, even like Twisted Marionette, if they just added like, I don't know how much this would impact their bottom line, but if activities like Twisted Marionette and the Tower of Nightmares aren't being played enough, I wonder what adding one weekly Black Lion key in there per account per week would do. I think it would do a lot for like engagement in those activities. I don't know how much it would impact ArenaNet's revenue, but it's one key, and there are people farming Black Lion keys every week on multiple alts, you know, like I don't think it'd be that bad.
And also, like, imagine this, right? You are 3 weeks deep on trying to save up enough keys to enough statuettes to get the Vermilion wings thing, because I spent a couple weeks trying to get those.
Right.
And if you're like every day slowly but surely getting more statuettes, and then you're like 2 or 3 days away, what's just dropping a couple dollars to just finish it, you know? That's what a lot of people are going to think. And I think if they passively give you 1 key a week, I think inherently people are going to buy more keys.
Yes, I agree 100%. And it gives it's a little gateway drug, you know. They'd like take evil, the 1 key, they'd open it, and they'd be like, ooh, I got some stuff. Not great stuff, but I got some stuff. Maybe what else is in the game? This is thinking super like cynically about it, but I genuinely think the value of keys is great. Like transmutation charges are just awesome. I mean, I actually like little hidden secret. I mean, I use like the biggest reason I use keys is to get more transmutation charges, because I don't want to buy them directly, because I can buy the key, which gives me transmutation charges, but also a chance at like expensive stuff. So that's why I use them.
I've gotten some incredibly cool things in those boxes before. Like,
yes,
I got the flame Jadebot skin.
Yeah, the Jadebot.
I love him so much, dude.
Little Calcifer. Yeah, that's cool.
I called him Calcifer. I was so excited.
Yep.
But so now that you've played Tower of Nightmares, you've obviously played the rest of season 1. So what do you think? What, like, because you didn't play it at launch, but you know the story. So what do you think now? I keep playing through it.
So I think the writing was very kind of like the writing was okay. It was very Marvel style, but I think the voice acting delivery was where it fell a little short for me. Like Bram and Rox, their performances weren't as enthusiastic, especially compared to the likes of Yuri Lowenthal and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I do very much get the feeling that, at least from the writing perspective, there's I want to say it was a bit of a teething phase, season 1.
Yeah.
Like, it was very much, there was a massive tonal shift from the end of the personal story. I've said this many times before, I really appreciate that that tonal shift, and I really think that the content post personal story is significantly better written. But there are some teething phases in season 1, but I still think there are definitely some gems. I think that there's some really like, as you said, it's very Marvel-y, but at the same time, some of those crypts are very fun. I like the little thing about Kerbram, that was cute. I liked the whole thing about the drop like a Norn fart on a moot. That line killed me. I'm sorry, it was stupid, but it absolutely killed me. But yeah,
that was great.
The voice acting, besides Tara Strong, who can do no wrong in my eyes, and your Lowenthal, obviously, it wasn't fantastic. Like Lord Farron was dope. His
as always.
His character is so garish and so amazing, and then Scarlet is like, she just chews up every scene she's in. Like, I loved, like, she kind of felt like Moaning Myrtle in the Tower of Nightmares, because she's like in the walls and she's always cackling and just saying weird shit.
Yeah, that's something else I didn't mention, is I loved the vibe of the Tower of Nightmares. I said it in the video, but it's like so unique in terms of like where it sits within Guild Wars 2. We don't have that many sort of creepy spaces like that. The only thing that comes close is like the Halloween labyrinth and that sort of thing. But this was super unique, and I just loved, having Tara Strong, teasing you the whole time and antagonizing you. She did a really good job. Awesome voice acting by Tara Strong. I obviously, as you were saying, there is like growing pains. There were the cast for season 1 are like all new, aren't they? They weren't in like the personal story. We've got Bram Rocks. We're being introduced to these characters. They're brand new. So I understand the writers trying to like write them to be a bit more likable and less depresso than like the personal story characters.
And if I'm not mistaken, some of those voice actors have been replaced since then.
Rocks is a totally different character. Yeah.
So overall,
I enjoyed season 1. I mostly did it to just catch up for the Tower of Nightmares and for the next episode that has the upcoming strike and that sort of thing. I just wanted to be up to date. I'm very hyped. There's so much they've got to wrap up in that final episode.
Is it just one more episode? Because we still have to have the Battle of Lion's Arch. We still we haven't met Timey. We haven't met Canuck. I'm actually...
They have to weave the Twisted Marionette in there somehow as well.
Marionette into there somehow. I'm starting to wonder if they're even gonna introduce Canuck at this point. I
think they have to. I think they'll do it. I think they will pull it off. How they will do it, no idea. But I think they're committed to like restoring this part of the Guild Wars 2 story, and they will fit it in there somehow.
Because it's been fantastic. It's had its ups and downs. I don't really think episode 2 was amazing, but I think that largely came down to that big grind, and because these episodes were released a lot more episodic than these were. It's essentially like they're taking a bunch of mini things and putting them into each episode. So they weren't necessarily written to be played as they are now. So the pacing was never going to be perfect. Like within the Tower of Nightmares, like as far as I remember, it was like everything leading up to the tower was 1 week, and then the tower itself was another week. So it's like you didn't actually play all that in one go. So I understand that the pacing will never be perfect, but I think they've done a pretty good job.
100%. Yes. I also just think those early episodes, you didn't quite have like a central villain yet. And now that there's Scarlet, there's kind of an extra drive there. Like I want to see how it all goes down in the final episode. So... Yeah, and very hyped for that.
And it was cool to see all the stuff that My Trin did in Lion's Arts, the stuff that is very heavily alluded to in End of Dragons. Like, it's kind of a large part of the emotional crux of the episode is the bombing of Lion's Arch, really. I mean, the emotional crux of the character is the bombing of Lion's Arch. And if you've never played it, like, that whole line about her forgetting Thea Ashford's name, like that's good writing. And
does she play a big part in the like battle for Lion's Arch? Because I was worried that the only time you'd see My Trin is that episode 2 or 3
I never played the Battle of Lion's Arch, so I'm not sure either. But I'm
interested. I I hope she's a big part of that because I really like Maitrin. I love her voice actor.
But even so, what she did at Dragon's Bash was pretty brutal.
It was. But I want more. Yeah. I need to see more Maitrin, especially with as you were saying, how crucial she is in End of Dragons. I hope she appears for the finale.
Yeah, I want more of that character. It sucks when they get rid of fantastic bad guys. I don't feel like we had enough Anka. Her voice actor, probably one of the best in the game. I love Anka.
I agree
so much. Oh my god.
Totally.
But yeah, so I'm just really hyped to see how they finish this. And the fact that they're actually finishing it after all this time. It's just so badass.
Yes. I'm excited. We get to move on to season 6.
Finally.
That's the juicy stuff.
I have so many questions, and I think we went pretty deep into detail about what our speculations on season 6 is going to be. Thinking about how now that Primordus is gone, the Asura can go back, and how there's potential for Tengu stories and all this stuff. So if you want to hear that conversation, go watch episode 1. We talked about all of that. But yeah, so at the end of last month's episode, I asked you what your plans for the month were, what your goals in game were. So how did you go about achieving them? Did you do any of the things that you were hoping to do?
Do you remember what I said? Because I can't remember now. I'm pretty sure it was I was earning gold to if I hadn't gotten all my legendary armor by that point, then I have done that. I have got full legendary armor. I'm pretty sure I had it by then.
Congratulations, Purple Boy. That's a major achievement.
Feels good.
Full great mode. Well, almost full great mode.
Exactly. Apart from that, I can't remember what else I was working on. I probably haven't accomplished it, whatever it was. Because as usual with Guild Wars 2, you just get pulled in different directions. As soon as you've got one goal, a new one pops up.
Shame.
So yeah, I guess leading on from that, what I'm working towards now is ad infinitum, the fractal legendary back piece. And I have gotten step 1 of that complete. And now I've got to move on to step 2, while I also farm gold and that sort of thing to buy all the materials I need. And I've been farming gold by basically just doing daily Dragonstorm, weekly strikes, raids when I can. It's great that I can do all that and actually earn gold now.
It is fantastic. I think it's become easier to earn gold as the years have gone on. It's pretty great.
100%. I don't know if it feels like maybe I've gotten better at the game and more efficient, but definitely there's way more sources of gold now from just playing, especially as a PvE player. Just strikes, raids, getting your antique summoning stones. That is I don't know, a free 50 gold per week just for doing kind of an hour's worth of content, an hour or two. So yeah.
Lara released a video, I think yesterday or the day before, about her daily routine and how that nets her about 200 gold a week, and it's chilled gameplay. It's chill gameplay.
Yes.
So it's definitely a lot easier than it used to be. So yeah, you've got almost full great mode.
Yes. Well, I mean the armor, yes. The great sword, yes. I have an axe as well. But it's all trinkets now. It's the back piece, all trinkets. Back piece first, and then I think the next trinket will be the amulet from the Return to episodes. I will finish that off at some point. I've only got 4 episodes or something to go. So that is my goal. I reckon for the next Mistlock Monthly, my goal by then will have been to complete the Return to achievements and get that necklace, because there isn't
nice. And then you'll have full purple gear, and then Grouch is gonna be like, hey, you want an aqua breather?
Yes, exactly. my other side goal, I mean, on a tangent, my other side goal is to get good at Condition Renegade now. That is the next Revenant Elite spec I would like to really dive into. So hopefully by next podcast, I'm doing 30k DPS on Condi Renegade.
Hell yeah, dude. Damn. Okay.
So what about you?
You've got some pretty concrete goals. Okay. Well, this month, I said that I probably wouldn't get my Sky Scale by the end of the month, and hey, I didn't.
Yep.
I'm still very much working on it, but I officially have all the mats I need. I have all of the Season 4 map currencies I need. I have all of the Sky Scale food. I have the Grow Lamp. I have everything. I just need to do the collections now. I just need to actually do it. So I just need to knuckle down and get that done. So by golly, next month I will have my Sky Scale and it will be fantastic. This month,
you can farm gold and buy a skin.
Oh no! I already have a skin.
Oh, there you go. Nice. You're already set up.
No, yeah. I actually when they gave us the free mount skin, I got the Orion Sky Scale because I thought that it would incentivize me to actually get the Sky Scale, and here we are a month later, and I don't have it yet. But yeah,
so right, you're set. Yeah.
So that is this month's goal, primary goal. This month, what I did was, as I said, I did a lot of PvP. I got the 3v3 contender title, which I was really happy with. I've been playing a lot of Soul Beast. I think I'm getting decent at Soul Beast. Not amazing, but getting there. In PvP at least. I also geared that character up as an Alacrity healer druid. So I just have a pocket healer. Just if I ever need it. I'd need to learn how to play it though. I officially got all 9 characters. I mean, all 9 classes, which is cool. The only thing I need to do is I'm leveling up my Mesmer on stream. So I'm like level 35 or something with my Mesmer. But once that character's level 80, I'll have all 9 professions level 80, which is gonna be dope for content creation.
Wait.
What else? As I said, I geared up my Vindicator in preparation for the Vindicator changes.
Are you still going through with Scrapper?
I'm gonna do Scrapper. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna do Scrapper because I'm not really using my Mechanist. Because it's not that I don't like Mechanists, it's just that there's too many Mechanists, and I just don't feel right. I just don't. We
don't need more. It's not fun joining a group and seeing 6 mechanists and 6 and a double that in mechs running around. Not fun. Yeah, no. Don't want to contribute to the problem.
No, I don't want to be that guy. So I'm definitely gonna play around with that Scrapper. I am definitely going to put my head down and properly get good at Condition Willbender because that's what I'm taking to raid on Wednesday. So I have no choice but to get good at it. But yeah,
it's like a Windwalker monk.
Yeah, it's so fun
combined with fire. Yeah, I need to I actually just logged into my Condi Willbender today just to craft something, and I was like, I miss this. It's cool. It's fun.
No, it is very
you know what? No, we've got one other goal.
Yeah.
It is to get ArenaNet partner by next month. Grouch, if you're listening, partner a third so that we can PvP together and do 3v3s. So
we really want to play games together. Guys, just give us a partner.
Yeah, exactly. I am stuck here on NA. There's not enough content creators on NA. They're all on EU and I can't play with any of them. Please help me, Grouch.
Yeah, and I want to play with Sneb and the gang, so come on, help me out.
yeah, exactly.
So those are the goals for the month. One is out of our hands, but we have put it out into the universe. Besides that, I think I'm still going to be playing a hell of a lot of Guild Wars 2 this month. There's no way I'm slowing down. I'm not feeling...
Yeah, likewise.
By this time, I'm normally feeling the burnout in an MMO. By this point with Final Fantasy, it's okay, let's find something else to do. And in WoW, I'm okay, I hate my life at this point. So the fact that I'm still so into it is fantastic. I'm playing some other games on the side, but nah, this is still it's my primary game.
Likewise. I'm really surprisingly into it, given that we're kind of in a content lull at the moment. I've been playing so much of it, and I will continue to do so. I've really felt zero drive to go play Final Fantasy 14 or dip into WoW or anything like that. I've been pretty happy here, which is just awesome. And I think it's a testament to ArenaNet's recent update cadence, their balance patches, all that. been awesome. So I'll definitely be sticking around.
So yeah, we're looking forward to new patch on Tuesday for me, Wednesday for you. The PvP balance patch. I will be dipping my toes into Vindicator. We have another patch coming out in November. It is, of course, the greatest of festive months in Tyria this month. Obviously, it is Spooktober.
Yes, spooky season.
I'm so excited. It's going to be great. I'm getting all of my spooky cosplays ready in game. Yeah, so nice. We got a lot to look forward to this month, and besides that, I think we'll probably just catch you guys next month. Is there anything else you want to say?
Well, next month we might have something special going on with Mistlock Monthly. Yes. We won't divulge what it is, but possibly something going on. So stick around for that. Yeah,
probably. It's you guys are really, really gonna want to do all the YouTube things, liking and commenting and subscribing, and obviously going over to Bloom's channel and checking out his most excellent content. It's far less scuffed than mine.
No, don't go to mine. Go to Brixels. It's way better than mine. Leave my channel. It's fine.
Well, guys, either way, thank you so much. Please stick around for next month's episode, because oh boy, it's gonna be dope. Go check out Bloom's content. You released you did a Vindicator video recently, and you did a video on
I did a hot take discussion about supports in Guild Wars 2. So if you want to see little spicy video, then go watch that.
As someone who's been playing Quickness support, Quickness Herald recently, I agree completely with what you had to say. 100%.
There you go. So it's probably like a glacier tick. Yep.
And then go check out Last Week in Tyria every dang week over on my channel. But besides that, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. I really appreciate it. Bloom, thank you so much for putting up with my amazing electricity and my terrible technical skills. Thank you so much. And besides that,
peace out. Thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much, and we'll check you guys next month. Peace.
Yeah. Catch you in a month. See ya.
Bye.